to Mod Driven. Still getting used to using that channel name. I'm going to slip up, I know. So whenever I say Rob Motive Project Cars, I really mean Mod Driven. I love the name. I think it's pretty cool. So anyway, I'm out here cruising around in the Mercedes. This is a C300 if you're not familiar with it. And I was thinking, you know, why the Mercedes C300 as my first project car? You know, I decided I was going to get a car. I'm into trucks and things. I have trucks on my other two channels, Rob Motive and Rob Motive JT. But I wanted to jump into a car, do something a little bit different too, because I do love cars as well, right? Now, I went with the Mercedes for a few reasons, really. I've had other luxury cars in the past. I've had the Audi, the BMW, and I've had a Mercedes too. And I have to say, except for the Audi, I guess the Audi was pretty nice. I mean, it was nice and smooth, probably right in line with the Mercedes, I suppose. Powerful enough. It was a turbo, I think it was a twin turbo 4-cylinder, or maybe a single, I don't recall. But it was a pretty nice car. So nice that my wife loved it. We actually had two of them at the same time, the exact same car. They were both A4s. But the Mercedes, I had a C43, and I have to say, I fell in love with the car. That's the reason I got the C43. It was, I believe it was the coupe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't recall. But loved everything about the car. Of course, it was pretty darn powerful as well. It was more powerful than this car. It would go. And I love the looks of it. I've always loved the looks of the Mercedes, depending on what trim line, what model you go with, and really even color when it comes to the Mercedes. It makes a difference. I had driven a silver one while I was in Columbus, Ohio a few months ago. And even the silver color, and I'm not a big silver or chrome fan, but I love that one as well. It was, I think it was a 250 or 350. I think it was a 350, something like that. It was a late model. It was about 20 years old, something like that. But it was a blast to drive, and it was really the biggest reason why I decided to go with a Mercedes as my first project car. Now, a concern that I had, and maybe part of the challenge for me is, you know, what can you do to a Mercedes? You know, if you went out and bought like a, I don't know, a Hellcat or a Corvette or whatever, you know, there's lots of videos and things out there, mods and things that people do to those. But part of the problem with going with one of those is the market, the mod market or video market for them is saturated. You know, there are tons of channels out there and tons of videos of people, you know, modding those cars. So I didn't want to do that, even though I do love those. I had a Corvette in the past as well. But thinking back to that car, I really couldn't come up with anything new, anything that hadn't been done. Now, with this car, again, it's the C300, there have already been things that I haven't seen anybody else do, at least not the way that I've done them. An example I'll give you is blacking out the trim. There's a lot of people, or some people, I wouldn't say a lot, there are some people that have wrapped it. You know, I had thought about doing that, and I even made an attempt to do it myself, but I discovered that it's an art form. You know, if you think that you're going to just grab some vinyl tape and wrap something and make it look good, your first time, which honestly is what I was thinking or hoping anyway, you're probably mistaken. It takes practice. I think it takes lots of practice and lots of attempts. Something that I wasn't willing to do. I mean, I'd have had to spend hours and hours trying to get that right and gone through tons and tons of material. So ultimately, I decided to pull the trim, as you saw if you've seen any of those videos, and paint it. I'm a much better painter than I am a wrapper, that is for sure. So that was one thing that I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it before. Typically, again, everybody just wraps it, which probably is a better solution. After doing the paint job and putting it back on the car, there were a few scrapes and things that I had to touch up. And you probably know, anytime you have to touch something up, it's never going to look as good as it did before you had to touch it up. So I have some spots that I'm not overly happy with, and probably down the road I may attempt to paint those again, which means I'd have to take them off and probably remove the paint. Something I'm not looking to do anytime soon, but maybe down the road. As far as appearance, you know, I love the other cars. I love a lot of cars, honestly. The Audi was a pretty nice looking car, and the BMW, of course, the Corvette was awesome looking, especially the new ones. I really dig the new ones. But there's just something about the Mercedes-Benz for me. I love the way that it looks. It really is pretty simplistic in its styling, at least this year. This is a 2020, and it's just more of a boxy looking, with rounded edges, if you will, car. I like that. I'm not a big fan of all of the angles and everything else out there, and I think when you can keep it simple, it's the best way to go. I also, I guess, probably am somewhat subscribed, which you should do to this channel, by the way, but subscribe to the aura of the Mercedes-Benz. I mean, it's a Mercedes, right? Mercedes signifies a lot of things, you know, class, style, elegance, the fact that you've made it if you've bought a more expensive one. This one didn't cost me a fortune, and it is used. So it's not like I went out and dropped 60 grand on a new Mercedes, which I did try to do. I think I made a video about that. You know, Mercedes just changed the C300. They've redone the inside. It's a little different on the outside, and I really love the inside. They've kind of put this big screen in the center, kind of Tesla-esque. And I attempted to get one of those, but unfortunately, Mercedes seems to be pretty rigid to work with. You know, they stopped making the new models or building the new models pretty early in the year, I think. You know how car manufacturers always come out with the next model year, and it seems like they just started the current model year. But I couldn't get one, and Mercedes, the dealer I was dealing with, which I think is pretty universal, would not even nail down pricing or options or anything, primarily because Mercedes, the company, wouldn't tell them what was going to be available or not, and what the pricing scale was going to be. So I was pretty disappointed in that, but I love this car. It is awesome. I found it at CarMax. I love CarMax too, by the way. A little caveat, they did fall for me a little bit on this deal. They were supposed to send me a fix-a-flat kit because the car did not come with one. They said they would. It's even on the paperwork. I need to get back to them about it. But they haven't done it. And it's been a couple of months, I think, or something like that since I've had this car. So a ding for CarMax, I guess. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here, kind of talk about that a little bit. You know, why did I choose the Mercedes-Benz, particularly the C-Class, as my first project car? Some folks probably have thought that's a little odd. Why would you pick a Mercedes? Because I love the car. And for me, I've got to love what I'm working on to do it. Otherwise, it just feels fake. This is not fake for me. I genuinely love the Mercedes-Benz. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about the Toyota Tacoma, and Rob Motive GT, all about the Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, please consider subscribing. And while you're at it, smash the subscribe button here too. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.